Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to this opinions video for the Elimination Chamber. This is your thoughts, your theories, your opinions, and we've got the match scores. We've got the current show score for Elimination Chamber. We'll get to those a little further into the video. Let's start, shall we, with this. Your folks, Nemjo, said Rhea has to beat the man at Mania so that it can lead to a match with Jade Cargill. Gotta have her show up on the Raw after Mania and declare her intent. I'm not too sure about that, to be honest, only because I don't know if Jade is ready for a big singles program, and certainly not against the champ. I kind of feel like we're going to have to build Jade. I kind of feel like she might have to go into some tag matches. I wouldn't mind if she went to NXT. I wouldn't mind if she beat some low-level talent first and kind of worked her way up. I really don't know that we're just going to go boom, straight in with the Rhea feuds, because I just don't see her being ready for that. I don't think she's ready. If she was ready, she would have been in the chamber. If she was ready, then there'd be big reports of a singles match at WrestleMania for her. If she was ready, she would have been having matches already. But we've only seen her at the Royal Rumble, and I don't know when we see her next or where we see her next. So I like Jade. I just think that we're going to have to be quite careful there, maybe take our time with her, and I don't know that we're going to be seeing her in like a big singles program, like straight out of the gates. Your folks, Nemjo, said AJ Styles needs the OC to step into the ruthless phase again. I don't want to see him tag him with Logan Paul against Kevin and Randy. AJ and Logan against Kevin and Randy. In all fairness, we could end up doing that on like a SmackDown. I could see that happening, in all fairness, as we're on the road to WrestleMania. I mean, Randy and Logan definitely feels like an option coming out of Elimination Chamber, but I'm seeing a lot of people talking about a ladder match. Seems like a lot of people really would like the ladder match with Logan and Kevin and Randy and LA Knight and AJ Styles, like all being in this one match for the United States Championship. That could be a lot of fun, actually. I'd definitely be down for that. Basil says a predictable 5. Khalib said the show sucked and it was horrible. Wrestle Darcy said great event. WrestleMania is starting to take shape and PLEs in 2024 are going to be awesome. Love the stadium atmosphere. Tiffy stole the show. I agree with Tiffy stealing the show, and I also agree, I thought the crowd was excellent. I thought they were so vocal, full of energy. They really did kind of help elevate the show. Eddie said, Elimination Chamber is a good PLE and the crowd on fire. WWE should do more international PLEs. Give some global crowd to chance to get their own show. I agree. And I think we're seeing that. I mean, we're going to Germany. We're going to France. We obviously have been going to Saudi Arabia for the money, but we've been to the UK. We've done Australia. You know, this is very much how UFC operates. I mean, literally last night they were in Mexico. They did UFC Mexico. So they like to get around as well. And so it's the same company that owns UFC. I think we will see more international shows as time goes by. Richard said Elimination Chamber was Tiffy time. I agree. She was the MVP for me as well. Pickle Chips said, I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the talk show segment, despite having a little higher expectations. They announced Seth's return, a huge match at some point down the line. So overall, I can't say I was disappointed. I just don't know when they're going to do Cody Rock, if they do. Well, to be honest, I sort of feel like that could be a match which we could just park. We could do it at SummerSlam. I'd definitely be interested in seeing it there. A lot of people are thinking that this is going to evolve and it's going to lead to the tag match, because Seth immediately said, you're not going to fight this alone, right? So a lot of people are thinking this story could develop and it could lead to the tag match on day 1 with Cody versus Roman on day 2. I mean, The Rock has been putting in a lot of work to have a match at WrestleMania. WWE are definitely going to want him to have a match at WrestleMania. The question has to be, though, what match is he going to have? Do we do Cody Rock night 1 and then Cody Roman night 2? But then how does Seth fit into it? I mean, I know Seth has to face Drew at the moment, but is he going to do that and just be in Cody's corner on both nights? Is that the plan? Or are we doing the tag match on day 1 and then we're going to be doing Cody Roman on day 2? Could we do Seth against The Rock, but then how's Drew going to fit into things? So I agree. I mean, there's definitely paths that we can go down, and clearly there's more to be told here with this story. But I wouldn't mind seeing Cody versus Rock. I just can't see us doing it on a SmackDown. And I don't know that we're going to get it at WrestleMania. I don't know they're going to have Cody wrestle 2 singles matches, one on day 1, then one on day 2. So I must admit, at the moment, I'm also struggling to see how we get it. But we can always revisit it maybe after WrestleMania. Lithic said it was predictable. It felt like a big house show. Script Keeper said it was too predictable as well. And Over the Top said absolutely loved it. The perfect example of how predictability in wrestling is not always a bad thing. Ultra Man BG of Zoom Station said it was a decent PLE, just a little too predictable. AJ being angry all the way to Perth is comical. I need a meme with him and a steel chair on the plane. And actually, I did create that picture. It didn't quite turn out the way that I was hoping, but let's see if it'll bring it up here. There we go. I did. I mean, my skills of AI generating pictures are not brilliant, but that was a furious AJ Styles sat on a plane holding a folded wrestling steel chair. Wearing a black jacket, a black AJ Styles type t-shirt, and black pants. That's what I put in, and that's the result that came back. And you know what? It was good enough for me. It was good enough for me. So, yeah, I must admit, I did enjoy that. CJ said it was way better than what I thought it was going to be. Wrestling fans since day 1 said, although I fell asleep during Elimination Chamber, from what I've seen, it was amazing. And Daze, to be honest, I don't want Becky to win against Ripley. Rhea is a big star, and we should keep her that way before and after WrestleMania. Well, do you know what? I agree. I think Rhea Ripley should win at WrestleMania. I kind of feel like getting a win over Becky would be big for Rhea. It is difficult, though, because obviously Becky has still got plenty of years left in her career. So you do run the risk of kind of sacrificing the prime years of Becky, because that's what we're in now. Everything in Becky's career has led to this and these, few years. This is the prime. I mean, her prime, you can argue, was WrestleMania 35. So you can say that was a few years ago. But she's actually been on quite a good run recently as well. I mean, she had a great year. I think, was it last year? And the year before. So these recent years have actually been really good for Becky. So I kind of feel like, she's arguably the biggest women's star that we've got. This is arguably the biggest women's match we could make, because Rhea Ripley is probably the biggest female star right now, and Becky may be the biggest female star of all time. For me personally, I'd love to see Bianca against Rhea. That's the match that I think would be bigger for me. But I think kind of business-wise, this is the biggest one you can do. And I think, yeah, I agree. I think Becky has had a lot of success. I think she can take the L in this one. But then the question has to be, who is it that beats Rhea? And I've always had a sneaky suspicion that person is meant to be Raquel. I've always had a sneaky suspicion that Raquel Rodriguez is the person that's going to do it. So, yeah, good point. Really good point. Lewis said, I thought it was a really fun show. Not an all-timer. Matches got set up for Mania. Storylines progressed. Some really good wrestling. It's all you can ask for, really. James said, I'd give it 9 out of 10. I think all the matches were perfect for what the show was. My only critique is that it felt like Grayson Waller effect could have been a segment saved for Raw. Yeah, to be honest, I think the reason they did it was because it was a way of getting them on the card. You know, Seth is still injured, apparently going to be cleared in a few days. And so I think we needed to find a way of getting him on the cards. Cody, I don't know why he didn't wrestle, to be honest, but he didn't wrestle. But this was a way of getting him on the cards. And obviously we know there was no Roman, there was no Rock. So yeah, it was. I do agree. It was a little bit strange. I suppose we could have done Cody against someone, and then had like maybe Seth in Cody's corner. That would have still got them on the card. But I suppose this was a way of getting them onto the cards, and a way of Grayson Waller being able to talk to the Australian crowd. You know, get them extra fired up. So yeah, I agree. I agree that it could have been done on Raw. I can sort of understand why they did put it on this pay-per-view. Or premium live event. HFNH said, really good show. Both chamber matches were great, especially the women's. But I want to give a huge shout out to the tag team title match. What I thought was going to be a decent cool down match turned out to be my personal pick for match of the night. Amazing stuff. That's a really interesting one, actually. What was match of the night? And I know it's a bit early, but it probably makes sense now to have a look at what you lot scored as match of the night. And you know what? You're actually really close, because apparently the match of the night was the women's chamber match. Now, 4 matches out of 5, and actually all of the main card matches, you lot said were great. You voted them all as great. So when we talk about the matches, like really delivering, I know there was no all-time here. I don't know that there was any 5-star matches here, but all of them getting a great rating, which is fantastic, right? So it was only the kickoff show women's match that slipped down to good, but all 4 getting great. And it was Becky winning the chamber, the women's chamber, that scored 73% great. The second match that you scored highly was Judgment Day against New Catch Republic. That's the tag match. That was very close. You can understand why people would have that as their favorite. It was only, according to you lot, 4%. I mean, that is nothing. 4% behind. Then you've got the men's chamber match, which was 66%. And then actually, do you know what? Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax, that was the least popular, but it was still a very high rating. Very, very high rating. And that came out at 62%. To put this into perspective, if we select like all the shows from this year, you can see that all of the great matches, so this is every Raw, every NXT, every SmackDown, NXT show, the Royal Rumble, like anything from 2024, short of like NXT Level Up and Main Event, you can see all of the great matches on screen right now. They're the yellow ones, so there's not loads. So considering that this show had 4 of them, all of them on their main card were great, I think it really shows like this was a really solid offering. A really, really solid offering. Which brings me to how the show rated. And you can see here that it is currently going in there. That red line is where it's going at the moment. So at the moment, it's going in like pretty much like in line with the Royal Rumble. So it's going to be in line with the Royal Rumble and around Payback as well. So that's currently where it's going. It's going into the great category and kind of going in about the middle of the great category as well. So, yeah, not a badly received show, I would say. Not a badly received show. I think the match quality really helped, because I do agree the results were predictable. I mean, we predicted them. It went the way I think everyone thought it was going to go. But the matches were still so good, and there was still so many moments within those matches that I think it really did help kind of rescue the show. Is that the right way of wording it? Rescuing the show. Not that the show really needed rescuing, but yeah, there was a lot of little moments which added up. Right, wrestling fans since day one said, I don't like it when they call up a load of people from NXT, but Tiffany Stratton proved that she belonged. I like to see more from her going forwards. Unless they want to bring her to SmackDown in the next draft, that's the only time I'll say for Ripley to drop the title. Otherwise, make her more dominant. So, wrestling fans since day one saying the exact same thing, which is, you know, keep investing in Rhea Ripley. WWE Ethan said, Daze, how you doing? I'm good, thank you. I thought the 2 chamber matches were good but predictable, with the winners Becky and Drew. I thought the Austin Theory spot was funny, but I didn't see the need with Cody calling out Rock when he has Roman at WrestleMania. Nia winning would have been interesting. So in regards to the Theory spot was fun, yeah, I agree, and that might lead to tension between him and Grayson Waller. A few people thinking that might lead to a split. And in regards to Cody calling out The Rock, well, he said, look, I know what I'm doing at WrestleMania, but I'm free till WrestleMania. So Cody's basically saying, look, I will fight you. I will fight you wherever you want to fight. I'm free. At WrestleMania, I know what I'm doing, but I'm free before. So he's thrown it out there. We know that we've got Roman and Rock on SmackDown on Friday. I'm sure there will be a response, right? And obviously a lot of people are thinking this may lead to that tag match. So a seed has been planted. We need to wait and see what grows out of it. M said, I think the matches were solid. Could have easily added another match to the PLE instead of the dumb talk show. Otherwise, the whole show was a solid 8. Universal Champion said, WWE needs to listen to the fans. Tiffany Stratton is ready now. It's Tiffy time. Edward said, I thought it was a great show. The fans were brilliant, but we could have had one more match, I feel. Second City Savage said, definitely was better than last year, especially the men's chamber match. Main event could have gone longer. Wish they would have let the crowd cheer or build it a bit like last year. Built it a bit like last year. I think the problem, though, is I don't know that anyone really thought that Nia was going to win, you know? I don't know. I mean, I suppose we could have, like, leaned into it more and really had Rhea in trouble, but I don't know. It's a tricky one. Even when you've got the commentators basically saying Becky's won the chamber, she's going to face Rhea at WrestleMania. I mean, that's what Corey Graves said. He said, you know, you're going to face Rhea at WrestleMania. Even the commentators were taking it for granted. And I think we all were, that there's no way Rhea's losing to Nia Jax. So it's a really tricky one. I mean, it's one that we've done because it elevates Rhea and it makes Rhea a bigger star. It's the right thing for the crowd in Australia. It is a tricky one, though, to really get people believing that her title reign's in trouble. I'm sure it could have been done, but yeah, a tricky one. So I don't know. I don't know that you could have captured what we had in Montreal, because in Montreal it's Sami Zayn trying to be the one to end Roman Reigns' title reign and trying to become a world champion for the first time. It's a lot different if you're already the champion and you're heavy favorite to retain. So tricky. They were in a tricky spot. Sam said it was very predictable. Challenger Dark said the PLE was 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed being able to wake up on Saturday morning and watch the PLE. It reminded me of being a kid watching Saturday morning cartoons. Tag team match and women's chamber was awesome. Stratton equals future face of WWE. Sad that LA Knight won't be going for the US title. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. As we said, it could be him that enters into a program with AJ one-on-one, or it could be that we do get to that multi-person ladder match, which is what I think a few of you are thinking, that it could go that way. Rico said banger from start to finish. The women's tag didn't fill time, but was a solid match. Women's chamber was the best match. The main was predictable, but good chemistry. Recent developments would probably be seen as a PR move, but WWE should do Evolution 2. The talent is there. I agree with that, actually. The only reason they don't do it, to my understanding, is that the first one just really did not work from a commercial aspect. It was not a success. Like, it didn't get the views, it didn't get the traction, it didn't do the numbers they were looking for. You can argue, did they promote it well enough? Did they build it well enough? I think to revisit that in 2024 or maybe 2025, I think that is a really good shout. That's an excellent shout. So Rico, shout out to you. Prakar said this whole SmackDown EC sequence was a bit strange. Here in Sydney, SmackDown finished at 2 p.m. and from 9 p.m. the Elimination Chamber started. I was at work when SmackDown started. By the time I reached home, the men's chamber match was started. That is strange. That is strange. Here in the UK, SmackDown started at 1 a.m., finished at 3 a.m., then Elimination Chamber started at 10 a.m., and then that finished, I think it was around about 1:30, 2 p.m., so like just after lunchtime. So I think it was a bit weird for all of us, to be honest. It was a bit strange for all of us, the way that it kind of worked out. But, you know, it's one of those. I think it's strange because we haven't done it. We're not used to doing it, but if we start getting more of these international shows, then we'll just learn to accept that this is how it goes. This is how it is when we are going to Australia. Mo Reigns said Stratton and Logan Paul were the MVPs of the chamber matches. Randy versus Paul, AJ versus LA Knight will be banger matches at WrestleMania 40. Brady said, I love the women's tag team championship match. I love that Indy got to wrestle in her home country. That match was amazing. Crossman said, Elimination Chamber had great matches, but it was the most predictable WWE show I've ever, capital letters, seen. Lex F1, shout out to you, buds. Says, hi, mate. Good show, but predictable. Wanted more from Cody on what The Rock said to him, and maybe could have had Sammy Gunther build up start. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the problem with Gunther is that he couldn't travel because of visa issues, so he's not allowed to leave the US at the moment. So building that might have been tricky, but we could have had Sammy there if that's the direction we're going. There's a few people thinking that Chad might be the one, but Sammy definitely could be the one as well. Sheamus could also be the one with Gunther, because Sheamus has been very vocal on social media, basically saying, like, calling him out, really. So we're not 100%, or I'm certainly not 100% which direction we're going, but Sammy, I would say, is definitely in the mix. In regards to Cody, I also want to know what The Rock said, but I feel like what I took from it was that The Rock said something to Cody that, didn't Cody say, like, oh, The Rock won't want me to tell you what, you know, was said to make me step aside and then come back again? I think there's been a conversation about making that a deal, like making that something significant, and he teased that he was going to tell us, and then he never did. So you now want to hear what he was going to say. It's going to come out. It's going to come out. I'm so pleased they did that, though, because we could have just moved on from it and just ignored it, but we're not. It feels like when he actually says what The Rock said, it's going to be one of those, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe that's what he said. Like, it's going to be one of those kind of moments that's going to have some significance, because they teased it and they didn't go through with it. And I'm fairly confident that it will come out at some point. So, yeah, watch this space on that. I'm confident we'll get it at some point. Jordan said Tiffany Stratton is the one to look out for in the future. I can see Tiffany against Naomi. Bianca versus Jades. I can see a twist in Okada going to WWE instead of AEW. I also hope that Randy Orton's back is fine. Yeah, a lot of people were worried about his back, weren't they? He was selling like a super trooper. Someone said, do you think he's injured? And I said, well, I think it's a bit of 50-50. I mean, they say that structure is legitimately painful. Like, it really hurts. But equally, the fact that the medics weren't in there, I mean, he was writhing around and he was just being left to it. The fact the medics weren't in there and there wasn't, like, greater concern from outside, that suggests to me that he was exaggerating and selling. So I think there definitely was selling, but I wouldn't want to disrespect him by saying it was all selling, because I've no doubt that that chamber does hurt. Robert said, in my opinion, at WrestleMania, it should be Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles versus LA Knight versus Randy Orton in a ladder match for the US title. Misty Perkins, shout out to you, said no surprises. All the matches, we knew the winners beforehand. Razzie said women's main event was amazing. Rest of the card was good. Talk show segment was kind of unnecessary. 7.5 out of 10. Muse0042 said it was a good show, but why tease bloodline stuff with Roman talking to Waller and then not delivering anything? At least Cody brought up the conversation between him and The Rock. Would have been nice for him to explain it, but now we have to hope they aren't completely ignoring that. Yeah, excellent point. And I don't think they are. I think the fact they brought it up means that we will get the answer on that. And you're right. I mean, I didn't expect Roman to be there. I didn't expect Rock to be there, so I wasn't disappointed by that. But what did he say to Grayson? There's all these like whispers, isn't there? Lots of whispering and secret conversations that were not being let in on. And now we've got another one. Like, what did Roman say to Grayson? Because Grayson didn't do anything. He didn't really deliver anything. The only thing I can remember is him asking the crowd to acknowledge Roman, the tribal chief. And if that's what Roman wanted, that's a bit lame. Maybe he asked the question about, don't you think it's selfish that you stepped aside? But I think if that's what Roman had whispered to him, then I would have needed Grayson to say, I've got a question. I've got a question from the tribal chief Roman Reigns. I've got a question that he wants an answer to. And I would have made a bigger deal out of it. Don't you think you're selfish for denying everyone the biggest WrestleMania main event in the history of WWE? Like, do you know what I mean? I would have made a massive deal. Like, he didn't do that. He just asked the question. He just asked that question quite flippantly. Which makes me think that's probably not what Roman said to him. So it's hard to pin down exactly what Roman said. Again, we've got Roman, we've got Rock on Friday. Maybe we get some answers and movement on that as well. Big Alex YTK said, dude, it was in Australia. It was a massive dub for me. Big Alex, shout out to you. I hope you enjoyed it, dude. I know loads of people have been getting in touch saying they were there. They actually went to the show. And everyone was like, the crowd was so good. I mean, I think if you went, you seem to enjoy it. Everyone I've spoke to seemed to really enjoy it. So, yeah, if it was in Australia as well, hopefully, like, I'd imagine you're feeling quite proud. You know, you're not being ignored. The eyes of the wrestling world were on you. Like, that's a good feeling. I know what that's like. When WWE comes over to the UK, we feel that as well. So, I agree. Massive dub. Dad Stuff said, beginning to end, literally, the women stole the show. Not that the men's matches were bad, but the women were definitely highlighted here. Great crowd, solid matches. I give it 7.25. Kalani said, F this shiz. Why did Liv lose? And no Iconics return. What is this? Well, I don't think we were expecting an Iconics return because of their personal lives where I believe they've had children. One of them might be pregnant right now, actually. So I don't think we were expecting an Iconics return. I know that there was a cheeky little picture that was doing the rounds, but that was a picture from I think was its previous show, like Super Showdown or something. So we've said it so many times, you have to be really careful with the teases online. There's countless examples where things have been teased and then they don't come off or they don't go that way. A lot of people use this as an opportunity to get people talking about them. So on. So I can't say I was expecting Iconics. And Liv losing, I mean, she didn't go in as the favorite. Becky was the favorite. I think Liv winning would have been a bit of a surprise because, I mean, we saw at the press event that it was Rhea and it was Becky that were face-to-face, and they've even had segments where they've been face-to-face on Raw. If you've noticed, we haven't really done much with Rhea and Liv. Liv keeps saying that she's back for revenge, but we've not been having, like, I can't remember any promo exchanges between Liv and Rhea. We've kind of kept them apart. So there is still a chance that Liv may find her way into that match. But to be honest, I think Liv's got a little bit more of a problem on her hands at the moment. And that is that everyone is talking about Tiffany Stratton. Everyone's talking about Tiffany Stratton. There is a We Want Liv trend, which is, I mean, I think it's got about 4,000 posts. So it's sort of there. There's clearly Liv fans that are trying to recreate a We Want Cody moment, but it's not really catching on. And instead, you've got the whole world like buzzing about Tiffany Stratton. So Liv I mean, I'm sure while she was out, she had a good look at herself and had a think about how she's going to, how she wants to be presented. But we've said before, it feels to me like there's something missing with Liv. I mean, did you hear them booing Liv when she eliminated Tiffany, chanting BS? I mean, it wasn't really at her. It's just everyone seems to be into Tiffany Stratton at the moment. So I think Liv's got a little bit of a problem in that she needs to really grab attention. You know, just saying watch me is not doing it. I think that she needs to grab attention. She needs to be doing like something cool. She needs to be having some really good matches. She needs to be doing some really good promos. Like, she runs the risk of some of these new girls coming up and sort of overtaking her. Like, everyone's talking about Tiffany Stratton right now. Everyone's talking about Tiffany Stratton. And there are some great girls down in NXT waiting to come up. Your Cora Jade, your Roxanne Perez's, your Kalani Jordans, your Lyra Valkyrias, you know, your JC Janes, your Gigi Dolans. You know, there's plenty of women on the way. So I feel like there's something missing. I feel like she's been the bridesmaid for quite a while, Liv. And you feel like that time away, can she find that missing piece? And it's a bit too early to tell at the moment. It's a bit too early to tell as to whether she has found it because, you know, it's not long since she came back. But, yeah, let's see. Let's see how this WrestleMania season unfolds for her. She's definitely got a lot of support. There's no denying that, though. I'd never sit here and say she didn't have fans. She's got plenty of fans, plenty of support. But it doesn't escape the fact that she just is still that step away, isn't she, from, like, being that person that wins Chambers, being that person that wins Money in the Bank and wins Royal Rumbles and, you know, does that consistently. She did win Money in the Bank before, and I mean, look what happened. She had a title run, but that title run was not a success. So that now means she'd have to win Money in the Bank again this year. And I don't know that she goes into that match as favourite. I really don't know. So we'll have to see. We'll see what the future holds for Liv. Alice said Nia's best match to date. The way Triple H has booked her so far has been nothing short of brilliant. Avash says, star of the show, Tiffany Stratton, 24 years old. Wonders she does in the ring is awesome. I will say, a female version of Jeff Hardy. Seth Neely acknowledged the tribal chief. Some MFers showed middle finger to Dom, so they had a blackout. Logan, KO, Orton in a triple threat. So, Tiffany Stratton, I agree. She was fantastic. Female Jeff Hardy, I'm not sure. I mean, she jumped off the top of that pod did the Swanton, so I can definitely see the comparison there. I think that, you know, in a ladder match, I could see her climbing up and jumping off that as well. So I can sort of see where you're coming from. She's not really about that extreme lifestyle, though, but she will go for it, you know. Seth nearly acknowledged the tribal chief. Obviously, we know about that on the channel. It was in the Unseen video. And, yeah, people showing Dominic the middle finger, so they had to have the black screen. That was pretty wild, man. Didn't know what that was until we went onto social media, and, of course, then everyone was talking about it because people had seen it because they'd actually been there in the stadium, so... Imanol said, I really like it. It's 7 a.m. for me right now. I had a blast. Michelle said, I thought that it was a lot of fun. However, I was shocked by AJ hitting the chair over LA Knight's back. Overall, I give the pay-per-view 10 out of 10. Wow. I mean, a solid 10 out of 10. It was a really solid show. I'm going to give it a solid maximum points. 10 out of 10. Vectric said, Tiffany is just so damn good. She should have won. Loves Ick Viper said, an amazing and great show, but the matches were all predictable. Tiffany is a main eventer. Everyone is talking about Tiffany. Just Dave now said, outcomes but predictable but great overall. Men's having AJ running and having Logan cost Orton was fun. Kyle said, not sure why they didn't credit Nia Jax being born in Sydney, Australia. Well, they didn't want her to get cheered. You know, I mean, she'd actually brought it up, and I thought that was a mistake because we needed Rhea and everyone to be behind Rhea. And it's all about her being from Australia, and it's all about her, like you know, being the face of the women's division, arguably one of the faces of WWE. And she's the champion. She's dominant. She's mommy. And, you know, they had basically someone in there that was going to be a real challenge for her to overcome, but someone that they really did not want the crowd cheering. They wanted everyone to be against Nia. So, you know, if they made a big deal about her being from Australia, then all of a sudden you're going to be a bit conflicted, aren't you? All of a sudden, like, you know, you've got basically 2 Australian girls. And we wanted that live crowd to be against Nia, so... Yeah, but she did mention it at the press event. She was quite clever, though. She said she was born in Australia, and she's really glad that she managed to get out and move away. So she kind of pointed out, I'm from here as well, but I'm really glad that I escaped. So she put that little twist on it. Alex said, I thought it was a solid show considering we didn't have a world title match. Both chamber matches delivered, and I think it was a real showcase for superstars like Tiffany, Tyler Bate, and Pete Dunne. I don't think Cody Rock happens at WrestleMania 40. I see that happening at SummerSlam. Ashton said, obvious winners, but surprisingly good matches. Set up for Mania chamber matches were certified bangers. What a show. Even with predictable winners, Rock, Seth, Cody, Roman can feel so many swerves before we get to that. Oh, I'm sure there's many swerves on the way. I agree. Mitchell said, I think that show is in the special 8 club rating. The ladies killed it in the chamber. I'm glad AJ Styles finally has direction. Philly Wrestling Hub said, decent overall show. I give it 4 out of 5. Great chamber matches. Only issue was it felt predictable. I feel like I needed a predictable counter, right? I probably should have thought of that beforehand. I could have had predictable on screen and then just counted every time that word got mentioned. Predictable. It was easy to predict. Blah, 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 blah. I could have had that little counter set up because that is coming across loud and clear. Henry Brown said, what a great time to be a wrestling fan. What a great WrestleMania we will be getting. Nathan scoring the matches. So kickoff match 7.5, women's chamber match 9, men's tag match 8.5, men's chamber match 9, Rhea versus Nia 7, total 44 out of 50. Vamphy said, the Logan Paul spot with him laying out Randy was a very nice touch. I hope Randy's back is okay because ouch. Rizo said, great PLE, predictable outcomes, Ting. But that's to be expected. Tiffany Stratton was the star of the show. Naomi is absolutely woeful. Ooh. Watson said, was a solid show all round and a nice change watching it in the morning. That men's chamber match made me realise how solid the SmackDown mid-card is. Logan, LA Knight, AJ, Randy, Bobby, Kevin Owens, even throw in Bron Breakker and Karrion Kross. Ladder match for the US title at Mania, hopefully. Brad said, I thought it was excellent. As an Australian, I was very proud of the whole thing. I was smiling from start to finish. And how hot is mommy? John said, I think the tone is being set for WrestleMania. We already know that Cody Roman and Io Bailey, now Rhea Becky, Seth Drew, and looks like Orton Logan and AJ Styles versus LA Knight. Also, Cody Rock Night 1, in my opinion. Cody Roman Night 2. Also think a babyface turn for Austin Theory. Ryan said, absolutely loved the whole event. The Cody and Seth stuff was the only bad-ish segment. So many more feuds set up for more going forwards. Rhea looked phenomenal. Avash said, and my last, though it was a predictable show, it's the first time such a big PLE has happened in Australia. Looking at its success, what are the chances of more PLEs? I will not miss if in Sydney. Yeah, I think there's a great chance. Great chat. I think Australia were brilliant. I mean, what they need to look at and what's going to be interesting is the data. How many views did it get on Peacock and the network? Like, how much engagement was there? They will know what their engagement was for Elimination Chamber last year, what engagement they get for B shows in America. How does that compare to the engagement they received, the amount of mentions they got, the amount of video views that they got? I mean, this is actually going to be really interesting data for them to capture. How did this compare to the UK one? The UK one was not out time-wise as much as this. Like, it was worth doing just to grab the data, to be honest, in 2024. I mean, logistically, it must have been a nightmare trying to get that Elimination Chamber cage to Australia. I think that has to be lesson learned. You know, there was no need for them to have to take the Elimination Chamber cage to Australia. They easily could have done this as Backlash. They easily could have done this as a fast lane. If you still want to keep it at this time, do it as a fast lane. Obviously, they had to because they'd already announced it as Elimination Chamber. I'm just saying, if we go back to Australia again, maybe don't make the mistake of trying to give them Elimination Chamber where you've got to ship the chamber. Just do it as a show where we don't need any structures. We just do tag matches, singles matches, triple threat matches, title matches, and we don't need any extras, you know? But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what the data comes back as, to be honest. And that, I think, is going to decide if Australia gets another one, or should I say when Australia gets another one, because I've no doubt you'll get another one at some point. Walter J said, brilliant. The action and the bodies put on the line was amazing. Fans tend to forget that when they see that when they watch PLEs. Big fan of Tiffany Stratton. After seeing her in action for the first time proper, all matches are very good, but the men's chamber was absolutely insane. 8 out of 10. Azza said, I thought it was a good show, but the Grayson Waller effect segment wasn't good at all. I had such high expectations for it. Alan said it was a good show. Best match being the women's chamber, but the matches were very predictable. Ding. Alex said 8 out of 10. No surprises, but that's okay in my opinion. All matches delivered and a fun time to actually not be asleep when watching it. Joey said, I loved it. Grayson face turn was great. Both chambers were great, and that was the best women's match in a hot minute. I don't know if Grayson did turn face. Did Grayson turn face? How did he turn face? He stood out of the way as Austin Theory got curb stomped. So he didn't help his friend. So that to me would suggest that if anyone's turning face, I would imagine Theory will be upset with Grayson. And he'll be upset with Grayson. And it might lead to a match between them. Grayson being the heel that didn't come to his friend's aid. You know, he could have pushed Theory out the way and took that curb for him. Instead, he just stood back. He just stood back and let it happen. So, yeah, it's interesting because I don't know if they're going to make a thing out of this. They could easily just move on past it. You know, Theory could be like, I can't believe he didn't out me. And, like, you know, they just, you know, Logan comes along and that's it. You know, they just move on. So they don't have to make something out of it, but they could make something out of it. And I actually think Theory versus Grayson at WrestleMania would be a very interesting match. And the build would be a lot of fun as well. So... But I gotta be honest, going into it, I think there's probably a bigger chance of Theory being the face than Grayson being the face. Nando said Tiffany was the MVP of the event. Bianca in second, in my opinion. Overall fun show, even if it was predictable. I don't regret waking up at 4:30 for it. I hope Tiffany has a great year. What a moveset. Gunther's Chop said show was predictable, but it's hard to make it unpredictable this close to WrestleMania because you need storylines and feuds in place for the biggest show. Other than that, every match was great and enjoyable, and the crowd was very good. 8 out of 10. LS Dub said, I thought it was a lot of fun. 7.5 out of 10. However, I'm very skeptical of the direction for LA Knight and Randy versus Logan. LA versus AJ match accomplishes nothing, in my opinion, and feels like it could sit on a B show. Good pay-per-view with a lot of fun moments, but not great. Sam said, great show. Could have had a little more from the Grayson segment, in my opinion. Tag match defied expectations and was my match of the night. Stample said, very predictable. Gio the Theo said the women's Elimination Chamber match was easily the best match of the show. Also, Tiffany Stratton is the future of the women's division and deserves a world title run. Billy King Kota Movement, we want Dakota, said 7.8 out of 10. Was expecting surprises, got nothing. And Becky winning was dumb. Over pushed, in my opinion. Didn't need it. Besides that, it was goods. Happy my man Drew won. Hashtag we want Drew. Hashtag King Kota Movement. Hashtag we want Dakota. Now, I think also there might be some, just a couple actually. So Harry said, good to see you. It was too predictable, I'd say. But again, could say this PPV is just the start for feuds for WrestleMania. I'm in a pickle deciding what Tiff and Randy do now, as I can't see KO versus Logan. Oh no, Randy Orton versus Logan, and who Tiffany faces. Would say ladder match for US title, but need to keep Randy away. Oof, lot to unpack there. So what do we do with Tiff and Randy? Well, I think a ladder match for the US title. Don't know that we would have to keep Randy away from it. I mean, he could be in it and he could say that he wants to win it just so Logan doesn't have it, and say it's been, you know, X amount of days since he last had gold and he wants to add to his legacy. I mean, the thing with Randy is he's not going to be around the World Heavyweight Championship. He's not going to be around the Undisputed Championship this side of WrestleMania. So him going into a match where he wants to add some more gold to his resume and, more importantly, take it away from Logan, that gives him a reason to be in the match. He doesn't have to win it, but it gives him a reason to be in it. And yeah, who does Tiffany face? That's a really good question. That's a really good question, because the word on the street is that she faces Bianca in a big singles match, but I'm not sure about that match, just because I feel like Bianca would probably win. If Tiffany would win, that would be huge. That would be huge. I'd love it if Tiffany won, but I feel like Bianca would probably get the win. Is there a way that we can make that match so good? You know, can we make that match so good? Can we make it so close that actually it still works for Tiffany even if she loses? I mean, I know that there's so many people that haven't been introduced to her. I know that her just getting a singles match at WrestleMania at this stage in her career would be massive. Like, I get it. I understand. But I don't know. It's just, seeing her go to WrestleMania and lose a singles match, I don't know. Something about that. Even if it is Bianca, it's not sitting right. I think because we could have her in there with someone else where she wins. You know, she could still have a really good opponent and she could win. But if she goes in against Bianca, I think she loses. I was thinking about this and it actually prompted me to put a tweet out. And I said, what I would do, and it won't happen, is I would introduce a women's intercontinental title, which is something I've always been on the fence about. But I do feel like the women's rosters have got to the point now where they're big enough where they could have a women's mid-card title. Intercontinental, I'd definitely take that over United States. So Intercontinental, mid-card belt, WrestleMania, ladder match, Tiffany wins. Because I think Tiffany looks so good in the cage and jumping off the pod and, you know, multiple opponents for her to get stuck in with and multiple spots for her to engage with. You know, we saw her in the chamber and you've seen the reaction. We can do something similar again at WrestleMania, only this time it results in her winning a mid-card belt. And a lot of people might say that it's too early for her to have that. But it's a mid-card belt. It's not one of the world titles. It's a mid-card belt. And it's a great way of her, like, you know, constantly being on the show, having some gold. She's then being chased. It keeps her in engaging stories. I mean, I think it ticks a lot of boxes, personally. So that's the direction that I would look to go. And I think it'd be a very intriguing match. And it's a great way of getting multiple people onto the WrestleMania card. I think I'd take that over a singles match with Bianca because I do feel like she would lose that. So yeah, really interesting point. Really interesting point. And then the last one here, Kian said it was all right. The men's chamber was good. Waller effect was all right. Waller should have told Seth and Cody what Roman told him. The women's chamber match was awesome. I'm happy that Becky won and the Rhea match was mid. Tag match was decent. Can't wait for Raw. Kian, shout out to you, buds. Well, yeah, we will be doing Raw, we do NXT, we do SmackDown, we do premium live events. I'm really pleased that we were able to get through over 70 comments during this stream. I mean, I do love these opinion streams, and I think they really come into their own for a premium live event. I mean, can you imagine how awesome these are going to be when we do them for WrestleMania Night 1 and WrestleMania Night 2? Like, they're really going to be coming into their own where we can just get all your thoughts, all your theories, all your questions, all your concerns, put them into a pot. I mean, to be honest, for me, I think I scored this show a 7.25 going on to a 7.5. I think it was predictable. Ting. We knew which way that it was going. I think it had to go that way. And I think that if you've got a show that's predictable, and I said this in Unseen, if you've got a show that's predictable, then I think there is a bit of extra pressure on you, the booker, to provide a moment, right? I don't know why we didn't announce the headliner for the Hall of Fame and then bring them out, if they're still with us, of course. If it was Batista, then we could have announced Batista as the headline person that's going into the Hall of Fame and then brought the Animal Batista out. And that could have been a lovely surprise, really cool moment. Batista in the ring. You could have said something that was a bit cryptic, like, you know, maybe I've got one more in me or something like this, you know, even if that's not true. And you know, that could have been it. That could have been the missing cherry on top, if you will. And I think you need that if the show is going to have results that everyone can see a mile coming. And we didn't really get that moment. Outside of AJ, we didn't really get that moment. So that, for me, is what kind of brings things down. I agree, the Cody-Seth segment, did it deliver enough? You know, did it deliver enough? I don't know. I think it definitely had moments. There wasn't that 5-star match either. So all these things, you know, but there was enough here that where every match you scored great, right? Every match you scored great. There is no one that can't say this show was not solid. It was absolutely rock solid. I mean, the foundation was absolutely there. We just needed those extra bits. We just needed that surprise moment. We just needed that 5-star match. And we never quite got that. Crowd were brilliant, though. All the matches delivered. And yeah, probably like a 7.5, to be honest. 7.5. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Don't regret staying up. I mean, why would I? We streamed it and we did the live stream anyway. But yeah, it's one that I've seen a lot of people saying sucked. It was too predictable and all this kind of stuff. But that didn't ruin the show for me. It meant that the show was solid. So that was my takeaway from it. And obviously nothing but road to WrestleMania now. So Raw should be juicy. And we know that SmackDown's going to be good because we got The Rock and we got Roman Reigns. And we will be here live streaming all of these things. So join us for those watch-alongs if you want to. And of course, we do unseen videos, which have been getting great reactions. Thank you so much for the support on those. We do unseen videos pretty much daily now. Been doing them daily for a good few weeks. So yeah, keep an eye out for the next one of those. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the support. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.